It wouldn't be me if I was sitting down to record a really serious video without a stupid haircut and without a Christmas jumper that has a cat in a Santa hat on it. It just wouldn't be me, and somehow this feels right. It's comfortable. I'm actually quite comfortable, and the hair is a thing I'm trying out. I kind of like it. It's not 100% the way I want it, but I'm trying it out, and I think it's okay. It's hiding my receding hairline as well, so that's a win. But as you can tell by the title of the video, it's not a video that's good news. Well, I'm back. That's a takeaway for you. I'm gonna be back to work as of today, but I'm explaining the reason that I've not been posting videos really for the last couple of weeks, except for the Empire of Sin stuff, which is not doing as well as I'd like, but I'm having fun with it, so that's okay. Long story short, my dad took really sick on November 19th, and 1 week later, on November 26th, at about 7:15 p.m., he took his final breath and passed away. I'm not going to go into the details of what happened. I'm not going to go into the details of anything else really beyond that. But as you can imagine, it kind of fucking sucks. It's been a really tough couple of weeks. The funeral was... What day was the funeral? Good Lord. Tuesday the 30th of November was the funeral. So it's been about a week since that. It's been, I don't know how many days since he passed, or how many days since he since he took sick. But yeah, really shit couple of weeks, to put it lightly. And it's weird. It doesn't feel like it's really happened. Well, it does. It does, because we all have this sense of him not being around anymore. You know, there's a picture of him in the living room where there wasn't one before, and it's such a good picture. It's him at my aunt's wedding, his daughter's wedding. He's in a nice suit. He got his hair done. He's holding a beer and he's smiling. Just a really natural picture of him. And it's so him. And that's the picture we actually had with us at the funeral. That was the one that sat on top of the coffin in the chapel during the funeral. And it was exactly what I wanted it to be, because I helped pick that picture. I was the one that really pushed for that picture of him, because it was just such... Actually, if you follow the channel for a while, this is actually genuinely, this is proof that I say what I mean when I say that I love things like juxtaposition, because we're all sitting absolutely destroyed in this chapel during the funeral. And then the picture of my dad, my granddad on paper, but he raised me, so it's my dad. My picture, the picture of him on top of the coffin is him smiling with a beer. And that was just, that was such a, like, for me, that was so perfect. That was so him. And then we went afterwards to his local bar for, you know, some drinks and some food, and just for everyone to get together and kind of talk and be together. And the picture of him was set up in the bar, and he just looked at home. And that's what it should be. It was funny. That was the thing. It was funny. It was the right kind of funny in such a dark, awful moment. And I kept trying to find those moments, and I kept trying to find those funny things. Like when the Undertakers were bringing him home to lay in wait for a couple of days before the funeral, they had a little bit of trouble getting the coffin in the front door. And that was him. It was awkward. Of course he'd be a bit awkward about it. Of course he'd be a bit stubborn about it. And that was very him as well. I like to think I get my stubbornness and my drive and my kind of wanting to do my own thing, how I want to do it, and pursue my own ambitions. I like to think I get that from him. And I like to think that a lot of my sensibilities come from both him and my gran, who's in the house at the moment. Because things were never normal. You know, he had to retire nearly 40 years ago, because of he was diabetic, so he couldn't really do his job. He was a butcher. So if his blood sugars went a bit weird, he was surrounded by knives. That wasn't really okay. So he had to retire from that. And, my gran went out to work, so Northern Ireland is a very traditional country in a lot of senses, so it was always, especially in those days, it was always the man goes out and works and the woman stays home and raises the children. But it was the opposite of that for me. It was the opposite of that for, you know, my aunt and my mom and my uncle, and it was right, because I think it gave us all a sense of, like, you know, either parental figure can be strong and can be working or can be looking after you, and both my grandparents, were very protective over all of us. And I like to think that's where I get that from. It sucks. It fucking sucks. There's a lot of things that I wanted to do and still want to do that I hoped he'd be around for. And I'm not a religious person at all. I'm really not, but I like to think that if I'm wrong about that, if I'm wrong about my beliefs or lack thereof, that by virtue of being a good person, if I'm wrong, if my day comes and suddenly I see a light and there's a figure that's like, you're going to be judged in everything you've done, I like to think if I'm a decent person, I'll be all right. And I like to think if there is something afterwards, if there is something afterwards, I like to think you'll still see what I end up doing. You know, I like to think you'll still be there. And at the very least, that picture of him with a beer is going to be there. So there's that. But it sucks. It's been a really, really awful couple of weeks. It's going to be a really awful couple of weeks ahead. First Christmas, first New Year's, my grandparents' wedding anniversary, early January, his birthday, February. And then my 29th birthday next year, exactly 2 weeks before the 1-year anniversary of his passing. It sucks. It's awful, but you know, he wouldn't want me or the whole family wallowing around miserable, bawling our eyes out. He would want us getting on, getting our heads down, getting stuck in, sorting out what needs to be sorted out, sorting out, you know, the state of the house, cleaning it up a bit, decorating it a bit, putting the Christmas decorations up, and you know what? Have a couple of drinks on him. That's what it would be. So that's what I'm going to do, you know. I'm going to put the Christmas decorations up. I'm going to put some lights back. Not that I don't have enough lights back here already, but I'm going to put more up for Christmas. Not that you'll ever see them because I don't really do face cam stuff right now, but they're going to be there, and you'll know they're going to be there because I've told you they're going to be there. So that's what's been going on. And I'm not gonna put any ads in this video. YouTube might do it automatically, but if they do, I don't think I get a penny of it, and that's fine. This video is not about, it's not about, you know, making a quick buck, because this kind of video with the title that it's going to be, I know it's going to get clicks. I know it's going to be like the video I put out a couple of weeks ago. That's a bit of bad news about getting COVID. Well, a couple of months ago now. I know it's going to get clicks. It's one of those videos that just will get clicks, and I don't want to monetize that. This isn't something I want to monetize. What I will say in terms of promoting things is that in the next couple of, I'm not going to say weeks, it'll be a couple of months, most likely, I want to do a charity live stream for a diabetic charity. I don't know which one yet, but I want to see if we can raise, I don't know, $1,000 or $2,000 just to send over to a diabetic charity somewhere. Probably, well, it'll be in the UK, just to, in my dad's memory. So that'll be a plan for a couple of months down the line. Everything's still really fresh, still quite raw at the moment. So as much as I'm getting back to it, I'm going to be getting back to Airport CEO. I'm going to be starting up the Halo campaign, the Halo Infinite campaign, one of my other channels. And we'll be wrapping up Timberborn. I've got a couple of other games I'm looking at. But if there's gaps in videos here and there over the next couple of weeks, this is why. Because we're dealing with things, and some days are going to be worse than others. Yeah, that's about it. I think I've held it together relatively well for this. More or less. It's difficult. But to be honest, that's part of what's weird about it for me as well, is I know there's the whole 7 stages of grief thing, and I don't know where I am in that process at the minute. I'm in like 6 different places at once, to be completely honest. I've not really had a moment where I've completely broke down, and I think part of that's because when he went into hospital, I had that feeling that that was going to be it, and I think I had that week to kind of accept what was coming. But also because I knew his wishes, and with what happened to him, he was not going to come out of that. If he did manage to pull through, he wasn't going to be the same man that he was when he went in. And just with the amount of care that he would have needed afterwards, he would have hated it. And he said years ago that if he ever ended up in a situation like that, he didn't want to go in a home. He didn't want 24/7 care. So, you know, the doctors essentially presented a couple of options to the family, and well, 2 options. It was, we can continue with treatment, but it's unlikely to help, or we can move him into palliative care, which is end of life care, and just make him, you know, comfortable. Let him be, you know, he'll be warm. He won't have all these tubes and things connected to him, not all these wires. It'll just be him comfortable in a bed on some pain medication, surrounded by his family. And that's hold it together. That was the right thing to do. That was what was right. So that's what happened, and that's what he wanted. And I said he was stubborn. So right up until the end, he got his own way, and it wouldn't have been him if he didn't. So that's what's been going on. There'll be videos back in the channel either today alongside this one, most likely tomorrow, because I think I want to let this video kind of like stand on its own for a second. I think it'd be weird to put this video out and then two hours later it's like, hey, welcome back to Airport CEO. So I think there'll most likely be something tomorrow, probably not later on after this one. So thanks for watching. Thanks for understanding. I know it's been an awful year for this channel, between everything that's happened to me earlier in the year, which he helped me out of, by the way. So if he hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't be making this video. So I gotta keep this up for his sake as well. But it's been an awful year for the channel, hasn't it? Between COVID, now this. And we all thought 2020 was going to be the worst year, huh? 2022, as long as this fucking Omicron variant of COVID doesn't end up being a nightmare, 2022 is going to be a good year. Better be. Couldn't be worse than this one. And I'm going to regret saying that, but I'm sticking by it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.